Welcome to Moto State Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between. Is this your first time actually working the event?
Yes, technically. I was there for the full weekend.
The full weekend. And how was
both of you, which is fantastic. I love
how was your full weekend experience?
Holy shit, it was a lot on Saturday. Like, I expected it to be a lot, but to the point where we were in a booth that was far enough away, but I couldn't see the bikes at all. There was so many people going through them all that I didn't see them until we closed up at like 8:30, almost 9 o'clock, which is just insane. I don't even know the numbers, but I'm curious to know if it was like a record.
For Mama Tried. Yeah. I don't know. We, the first few years we went like right away when it opened. And this year we didn't go until almost noon, and it was still nuts, right? I mean, the whole time we were there, it was asses and elbows, but
which is a good thing, but it's just like shit.
Yeah.
Can't go outside. It's freezing cold out.
Yeah, I did. This was the coldest one I've been to by far.
Really?
Because the first one I went to was actually pretty warm because the food trucks, there was lots of people outside smoking and food trucks and like the whole thing. Yep. But now, like if you went outside, people were like leaving. They were not.
I got my grilled cheese and I'm running back inside. Is what I did.
That's right. Yeah, so that wasn't happening. So
no, it was good to see you guys. Did you like the show?
Yeah.
That was great. That was awesome.
The show never disappoints. I think for me it was the races. I think I said that before. The races were for me, and I don't want to say disappointment because that sounds awful, right? Because I absolutely love Mama Tried and I love
Don't be
Flat
a
Out
Debbie
Friday.
Downer. Golly,
right?
geez.
But for me it was the lack of what I would call competitive races, right? There was just a lot more boonie bike races, and while they are fun, to me, the boonie bike races should be like the comedic, part of the show that's in between the competitive races that are happening. That's how I feel it. But I'm not, I'm just the average guy. I mean, who knows?
Nobody cares about your opinion right now.
Is it because it's just an easier barrier to enter into racing that they can do that? Is that part of the reason why? I don't know.
I feel like it's evolved into that over the years. I mean, I've been the last 3 years now, and that's the only 3 years I've ever been. But the boonie bike base, there's more of that, and there's more of that throughout the week, and I feel like they've carried that to Flat Out Friday as well. But I think you're also correct. There's definitely less barrier of entry from a cost standpoint, right? Like you can just have fun with it, There's people that take it serious, and there's people like if I were in it, man, I'm dressing in something outlandish and just want to have fun with it, right? Like I don't care if I finish dead last. I don't care if I even do one lap. Like let's just get out there and have some fun. So
exactly. But there's a friend of mine that does the vintage race one, and I absolutely love watching.
That was wild.
For I don't even know how many years he's been doing it, but it's fun to watch those competitive side of things to do for sure.
Right. Well, it was interesting because I was telling AP from OG Moto that I was telling him about all the races to expect, and none of them happened because the last time I was there, they had all these other I remember the last time I went, they had a no brake class, so they had all the bikes had no brakes. Mm-hmm. There was a class that was only V twins. There was a class that was no V twins, right? So it was all basically flat track dirt bike, like Kawasaki's, Yamahas. So there was a variety of other classes in between the boonie bike races, and the boonie bike races were thrown in as a comic relief, right? And so and none of those other races happened. So I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so, but then after having some time to reflect, I also thought, I bet this is also how to get the crowd involved, right? Because I mean, Luke and I could be in the race next year, right?
In the group class, because years ago there was one with a porta potty. Literally, they had a porta potty, something, and they were racing it around too.
It was painted black with an Earnhardt 3 on it.
No. There was a green. There was a green one. So that year of that porta potty race, Whit, I was gonna tell you this because I think you'd find it interesting.
Okay.
I posted a reel on that and it got almost 20 million views
Oh, shit, for that one.
for that race. Yep, yeah, I got like 16,000 Instagram subscribers and 20 million views off of my reel from that Mama Tried race.
That's insane. And then they brought it out to the Iron Horse that night and tried to jump it over. It was epic after the fact of.
Hell yes,
races.
that's awesome.
So.
Yeah.
I want to race it next year. I really do. I
should.
want to. That guy that had the pull start diesel motor.
Oh my God, he was fucking loud. Like
He was out at the museum Thursday night, and I didn't know it was diesel, but it was super loud and it was smoking. I was like,
what
because
the
it obviously doesn't smell like, sound like a diesel motor. So I'm like, man, that thing's running rich, like he's actually rolling coal, and it was. And they interviewed. He put a supercharger on it.
That's crazy.
Like, what? I got to do this. I want this in my life. I want to do this. So I've
Right.
got to figure out how to get my license and whatever the initials are, AM something. I don't
AMA.
know.
Yeah, I think you have to be part of the AMA.
Yeah, whatever. I'm doing it. It's gonna
Done.
be great. Yeah, I'm gonna race in a singlet and a helmet. It's gonna be awesome.
My Bob has a Boonie Bike chopper frame. And so he was like, I'm like, dude, we should build one and race that in the races. But,
Make this happen, guys. I'm going to enjoy this for sure.
right, it'll
Sponsored by Fuel
all-
Moto and Moto State Podcast.
Yeah.
There's a people on that one. But yeah.
We would be, I think at this rate, we would be lucky to make one lap around the track. So I would be excited
Whatever.
if that happened.
I'm here. I'm down for it. That's fine. Whatever.
Worth
Right.
one
I'll
lap.
push it.
Sure.
I'll push
Yeah.
that thing. I don't care.
What I think would be really funny would be to show up to one of those Boonie Bike races with a Boonie Bike with no motor in it at all. just like like one of the kids, just like push it with your feet.
2 years ago, a guy was at, whatever random one, like at the end of the night, the last race. He was one of those bird scooters, and he's like logged in the app to rent it at the start
And that's
line.
what he did?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so great. Like
That's
I could
funny.
do that. Are you kidding
Run
me?
out of battery halfway through. You're like, oh, I got to hold on.
Yeah. I mean,
Need
those
more
some of
money.
those suckers
Need
go
more
like
money.
four. You know what they should? Somebody should go out there on a one wheel.
Oh my God.
That's what somebody should do is go out there on a one wheel.
I'm not
That would
stupid
be
enough to do
that'd
that.
be pretty funny.
I'll definitely hurt myself. It won't be good.
Knee pads
Yep.
and elbow pads. That's all you need. You're good.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh no, it was a good weekend though. I loved it, even though it was chaos. I enjoyed it. Didn't feel like work for me for sure. So
That's awesome.
That's good.
That's a
Yeah.
good weekend
it
on the
was.
clock.
I can't complain. When it
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
motorcycles and just talking to people the whole weekend through, I'm in heaven. So yeah.
Sure. Well, everybody, welcome back to the Motor Say podcast. For those of you who don't know, we have a special guest on today. We have Whit Meza on today. And Whit, I noticed, by the way, that you changed some of the things on your Instagram profile, identifying yourself as an endurance rider now. And so there's a lot of other things. So, get out there and follow Whit on Instagram. But Whit, welcome to the Motor Say podcast.
Thank you. It's good to officially chat with you guys. I love this, what you're doing. It's exciting for me to see what you guys are building. So
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, and it was fun to meet you at Mama Tried and just talk about the community and drool over the CBORR and whatnot. So, but thank you for taking the time to be on the show tonight. We appreciate it.
you
Yeah,
got it.
there was a couple people that that came to our event that weren't real clear who you were, and I was like, listen.
That's okay.
I said, Whit is a complete badass. And they were like, well, I'm like, she's got like 5 world records or something like that. I mean, she's in like the Guinness book. I'm like, she's done all kinds of shit. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I said, how many states have you ridden through? Because she did 48 in like 9 days. And they were like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, legit. I said, so whatever kind of badass you think you are, she's more one than you are. And they were like, okay, I'm done.
That's wild.
Thank you. You're giving me more credit than what I deserve, though, for sure.
You still hold that distinction though, right? You were the first female rider to do it on a Harley, were you not?
The Pan Am specifically.
Okay,
Not
specifically the Pan Am.
female. I think if I counted it up, I might have been like, there was less than 20 females for sure. Because most of that chunk was any of those riders that were doing the Iron Butt Rally a couple years ago. They did the 48 and 10 route as the Iron Butt Rally. So
Okay.
they could claim that as a dual purpose certificate and for the rally. So yeah,
Okay.
under the 20 mark for sure for females, but the first for the Pan Am. First
That's
one,
awesome.
but too, yeah.
Right. And that Pan Am that went to the Harley Museum for a minute too, didn't it?
No, I went back to corporate probably to do
corporate.
R&D stuff.
Okay. They downloaded the map. They downloaded the map to make sure you actually did what you said you did.
Yeah, probably. Because I
and
put
then replaced a lot of parts on it, I'm sure.
13 to 14,000 miles on it within like less than 2 months time span. So
Holy
it
shit.
needed to go back to corporate just to get a full synopsis of the whole bike. So yeah, I
Right.
didn't see it until the next year when I took ownership of it. So
Okay. And that was was that a first gen Pan
that
Am?
was a 21. Yeah, it was a
Okay.
21. Yep.
Crazy. Crazy.
Fill,
Considering
fill in the blanks there.
Leave it as that. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a first year model. There are things, there are
Absolutely.
hiccups with it. So yes.
right. And then you were doing a coast to coast on that bike when you destroyed it, right?
Yes. The official coast to coast one I did on a Yamaha FJR, like in the middle of January that next year. I rented from Eagle Rider in California and then went to Florida with it in less than 2 days. But the ultimate coast to coast where I went I went Key West to Prudhoe Bay,
Yep.
that's where I took the Pan Am. So
Right.
So
And you
Hold on,
and,
hold
and
on. I don't
you-
think I hold on. I don't think I knew the Yamaha part.
Luke's got to unpack this. He's like, "What the fuck?"
So one, you did it in 2 days.
Yes.
Holy shit.
you got to do it under 50 hours. That's
Okay.
the goal. It's
And-
called BCC, like called coast to coast.
But you did it on an Eagle Rider bike. That's fucking great. Like, it ain't my bike. I ain't got no problem.
It's the middle of January in Wisconsin, and I wanted to ride for my birthday, and I was like, all right, what can I do? I need to be south to do this. And I was
Sure.
like, all right, I reached out to Eagle Rider saying, hey, I have a friend that she swears by the Yamaha FJR. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. I've never sat on the bike, never test drove the bike, but picked it up in California and then took off with it and returned it to Jacksonville Beach, Florida in 2 days and said, thank you, I appreciate it, and then flew home. So
Thanks for the test ride. Like never sat on one and then I'm gonna go crush a cross country bike trip
over
in 50
2,000
hours.
miles. Yep, in 46 hours, I think it was. So yeah,
Holy
I took a nap in a
shit.
Bucky's a Bucky's bathroom, I should say. I needed some respite, and I was like, well, they've got clean bathrooms. I'll sleep there. That's fine. And then I just kept rolling. It got down to the low 20s in Texas, and then also in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. So
Oh,
I saw
wow.
ice on the interstate. At some point, it was iffy. I blew a fuse with my heated gear because I didn't really know the ports for the Yamaha, and so took out a light that I didn't quite need, I guess, and used that for my fuse and that I needed. And yeah, it was an interesting, probably one of the hardest ones, even compared to the Florida to Alaska trip. That was one of the hardest ones I've done. So
What do you think made it harder
What's that?
than most? What do you think made it harder than most?
the cold, and I didn't do my rest very well. So like when I got down to California, I was having issues with the heated gear and staying up past way more than what I needed to. And so I didn't get much sleep that first night initially when I left. And then timing, because of the cold, put me back so much. So I had to keep rolling to be able to get to Jacksonville Beach at the time I needed to. So I didn't get much sleep, like at all. I should have just hunkered down for 4 hours, but I was still pretty new from an endurance side of things. I was like, nope, I'll keep rolling. It's just 12 more hours. That's all I need to get through.
Just 12 more hours.
That's how I looked at it. And the bike was just not set up for me. It had a sport fairing, and I just wasn't set up the way I enjoy riding like on my Pan Am, that it took a lot out of me mentally, physically. It was also my grandpa's funeral, like the day I left for it too. So there was a lot going on that I was like, yep, I gotta see this through. And yeah, one of the hardest ones I've done. But I did it. Happy birthday to me. I can
Jesus. And then you add those three minor things at the end there. Oh my gosh. Set up as a
And the
sports
cold.
style. Yeah, cold, a death in the family. Oh my gosh. That's wild.
It is.
Man.
Besides when I was following you when you were doing the one to Prudhoe Bay, I think my most favorite part of that entire thing was when you got to Prudhoe Bay and you went and got in the ocean. And just because like seeing you do that was because I just, the reason why I say that is I distinctly remember I have you have these memories like that you lock in your brain that you kind of keep with you forever.
Yep.
And I've been fortunate enough to see the Atlantic and the Pacific, on vacations, whatever, the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, whatever you want to call it, the ocean in Hawaii, like, and that first time when you go in the ocean for the first time in a new ocean that you see, it for me it becomes a locked in memory, right? And so when I saw you kind of go into the ocean there, I was like, that's going to be one of those memories for her that she will remember forever. That I thought was just really was super cool. I mean, I don't even remember when it was a year ago, or I mean, it was a long time ago. So I'm pulling that from my memory, like that you doing that imprinted on me because I remember that and just kind of seeing your reaction and that whole thing that you got on camera, obviously. But
that's
that was
saying a lot, Ryan. I mean, you're old and forget things all the time. So I'm really proud of you, buddy. Nice
you
job.
should be. You should be.
Now you got to get
that's
your
a
ass
real
in the
thing.
Arctic Ocean for sure.
I know.
gotta
I
like
know.
that
I mean, that's what.
a
Well, and
polar
everybody keeps.
June is what it is because there's snow chunks just hanging out still. But hey,
I know. Everybody keeps saying you should go on a Alaskan cruise, and I'm like, I don't like the cold. Why would I go? Why would I go on an Alaskan cruise? But
it's gorgeous up there. Once I did the Alcan Alaska Canada highway and I did that on the bike, I knew I was like, I'm taking the kids, I'm taking the husband up there. We're gonna do some like remote camping somehow or another with the truck and the tent or something along that lines, because there was airstreams and just trucks pulled off to the remote side of like nobody around, absolutely nothing, and just camping and hanging out. So I was like, I got to do this again with them. So there's so much more wildlife even just on the side of the road there than there was in like Yellowstone, because you don't have to deal with any of that traffic and chaos that the national parks are. It was crazy cool. So yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Well, and Alaska's still pretty wild. You know what I mean? It's giant and not very populated, so it's still pretty wild.
And just insanely large. Like, I didn't realize how far away I was until I opened up my Google Maps and looked at my location of where I'm at, and I was like, I am a long ass way from home. Like, holy shit, I'm all the way up here. There's nothing but ocean and all that. So yeah, it was crazy to put it into perspective, but bucket list check. I did it. I rode the 50 states. So yeah,
that's a serious bucket list right there. That's awesome.
So yeah,
how's your new Pan Am treating you?
Yeah, it's good. Like, that's the part where, so when I came back to give people context of it, when I was coming back home from the Alaska Key West to Prudhoe Bay ride, I just got back through Canada, was in Montana, and ended up totaling my bike. Thankfully, I walked away with a small concussion and some bruising, and that was it. But I totaled that bike. So thankfully, I have really great insurance somehow, and they give me pretty much a full MSRP rate on a brand new bike. So nice. I took it and I ran with it, and I was like, all right, we're getting the bike again, that's for sure. And so I have a 2024 Pan Am, and I'm still able to keep some of my original parts on the bike. So my panniers are from my 2021. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but really that's about it. I wanted to keep some part of the bike with it. And yeah, I love it. I need to put more miles on it because right now I only have 5,000 on it and it's eating away
You're
at me.
Did you do that last week? I mean, what?
Well, I took ownership of it because when I totaled my bike out in Montana, Yellowstone Harley Davidson, the owner there, Josh, he was fantastic to work with. He rode the 3 hours with a trailer to come pick up the bike, deal with all the insurance side of things.
Oh wow.
And so I was like, all right, I am grateful for for all that you guys have done. So I pretty much said, all right, I'm buying my bike from you. Like, let's make this happen. This is what I'm dreaming of. I literally gave him an illustrated, like, photoshopped version. I was like, okay, this is what I want the tank to look like. This is what I want this to look like. Like, if we're going to make this happen, I want it to look exactly how I envisioned the first bike looking. And so they ran with it. I picked it up and then I just told my husband, I was like, I'm going to pick it up on the weekend and then I'll be back like Sunday night-ish. So I left, I think it was Thursday. I think it was Thursday or Friday, one of the two. And so I picked up the bike sometime in the afternoon, got a kerosene thing for my backpacking meals and stuff like that. And I went up Beartooth Pass. I went Chief Joseph Highway. I did all of these other ones. And he's tracking my location. And he goes, I thought you were coming home. And I was like, I am.
the long way.
way home. It's fine.
Slight detour.
Yeah, pretty much. So like the first ride on it was Beartooth Pass and it was so fun because it was right at the end of sunset and it was so cool coming down that I wished I still had my GoPro or something recording, but it was pretty much dusk at this point. But 3 bears literally ran across the road right in front of me as I was coming down Beartooth. And I was like, well, this is fitting. This is good in that sense. But I did Chief Joseph and a couple of one of the national parks over there, Canyon something. I can't remember that off the top of my head. Went through Sturgis, did another national park, and then I finally just beelined it back after you get off past the Black Hills area. It's just
Right.
straight nothing. So yeah.
Right. Pretty much all the way through South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. It's
Yeah.
pretty much the same highway.
Same thing. Yep. It's just
Right.
straight.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Once you get out of the hills. So, but you got a 24 now. So you got one that has most of the gremlins are gone. It has the upgraded wiring harness and battery, and so maybe it kind of worked out in your favor.
It did. It worked out. This is where I need to push it a little bit more as far as mileage goes, because I know there's things that I was like, all right, I want to see if things are holding up the way that they should be for certain mileage points on it. But yeah, I love this bike. With everything that its ups and downs that I have with it, I still can't picture my life without it. So I know you're looking at it, aren't you, Ryan? Or should I not be saying that at all? Maybe. Shouldn't be. Maybe.
I already put it. I think I put it on the Discord already. I put money. down
Oh shit.
on it.
Okay. Well then, can you edit this part out?
Yeah, that's okay. No, I put it on our Discord. I
Okay.
put money down on the 26 special or 26
did?
limited.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So you're making this happen.
Oh yeah. I
It
found
got real quick.
Yeah, it got real quick.
Like just recently you did, or
Yeah,
last
within the
week?
last week and a half. Last week, yeah. So I went. So let me see. We came back from Mama Tried on Sunday.
Oh, this is
On
exciting.
Monday, I went to a local shop and asked him if he was interested in my FXR.
Okay.
On Wednesday, he handed me a check for my FXR and loaded it in a trailer and took it away. And on Thursday, I called a dealership and I put money down on the special, and so it was in J&L in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Okay.
And so I called and had a bunch of questions because they posted it on their website, but they posted it without the bags and things like that, and they posted it as a limited. And I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, the reason why is they wanted to get it on their website right away, but one of the panniers had a broken lock. And so they just didn't install them. And so it has to be fixed and then brought up to Fargo. And so, yeah. And then Fargo, and then the dealership in Fargo where I bought it from, they offer delivery up to 100 miles. Well, Grand Forks and Fargo are less than 100 miles apart. So they'll deliver it to my garage.
Oh shit.
Because, and the reason why I asked is because here, the dealerships are pretty far away. Our local dealership closed. The nearest dealership's 75 miles away. The one that I bought my last 2 bikes from is in Jamestown, which is 150 miles away from me.
Okay.
And both of those last bikes that I bought from Jamestown, they delivered right to my garage. And so when I called Fargo, I said, "Hey, I did a business with this other dealership, and they brought it right to my garage, and they're further away than you all are. Will you deliver it for me?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll deliver it." So
That's awesome. Heck yeah! Welcome to the Pan Am crew.
So, yeah,
I feel really left out right
I know. I'm sorry.
yeah, geez.
We'll get you on one. I'm very sure. Have you been on one before?
I haven't. No.
All right.
Don't ride it.
Coming down.
Yeah, don't ride it, Luke. I don't suggest you ride it.
I mean, that's what I need. I need a fourth motorcycle in the garage. That's what I really need. That's
Who's counting at this point? Like, it's just.
I feel like
my insurance company.
No, that's where I just got the registration today. I was like, shit. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
I can ask my friend Walter. I'm like, which bike do you want next? And he goes, well, I won't be happy until I've owned them all. So, I think Walter's on his probably 15th bike, something like. I mean, it's something ridiculous like that. But he usually has two. He has 2 or 3 at one time. Is typically he has 3 right now. And so yeah, he just but because he's had so many, he doesn't get emotionally attached to any of them. He does very simple mods to kind of get him so they're comfortable for him, and then he rides them until he doesn't. But he's also really savvy, so he rents his bikes out. So very oftentimes his bikes are that he's not even making the payments on them because they're being made by someone who's rented it.
It's smart that way.
So and he's had really good luck with that. His bikes have all been returned, and no one's tipped one over or smashed it or crashed it or anything like that.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, right.
No way.
I'm too attached to my Pan Am to not, and same with my Sporty too. There's just. I had to take part, so when I went to pick it up, I took the fairing of my 21 with me to it and strapped it to the back of the Pan Am and brought that home with me because let's go whatever pieces that I can take home with me. I was like, what am I going to do with it? I don't know. Put it in the garage at this point, but there's little.
It's a wall piece now.
It is.
Yeah.
That's super interesting that you would say that because most of the time with insurance companies, they don't let you take anything off of a vehicle or a bike because think about how many. I mean, that's how come you can go to a junkyard and you can find a 1-year-old M8 who the engine and the powertrain system is perfect. but the frame's been bent, right? And it's just sitting there in a junkyard. I mean, it's crazy. It's ridiculous, right? When that motor itself is worth $6,000, $8,000, right? But
more than it's crazy. I don't know, but I'll take pieces of it just to have it with me, and I can't not have that in the garage. When I totaled the bike, I looked at other options, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I could go the full dresser touring side of things now. But I was like, nope, it's just where my heart lies is with that bike for sure. So,
well. I mean, I've just been digging into it, and I thought getting into like touring bikes and that kind of stuff was a deep hole to go down. It doesn't even compare to as soon as you start going down that adventure hole. It's so ridiculous. I can't even describe how ridiculous it is. So.
Are you going to consider going the ADV route? Like, are you doing BDRs? Like, this is something that I have the adventure bike, but do I picture myself riding BDRs? I don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything that I've heard, the Pan America is really more set up for light BDR stuff, not real adventure riding because it's too heavy and big. Not that it's not capable, it's just too heavy and big, right? Mm-hmm. Because I watched a video on a guy the other day, and I was going to send it to Tony because he drove it over rocks, smashed it into trees. I mean, I saw Danger Dan get sideswiped by a truck, and his bike went into a ravine. It was upside down in the water in a ravine, and they took it out and dried it off, and he drove it away.
With his Pan Am or a different bike?
Yeah, his Pan Am. Yeah, I mean, and he's ridden that thing all the way to the Horn of Africa. I mean, his Pan Am's been everywhere already. So crazy. It's a capable motorcycle. I understand it's just very heavy. The other thing is, and I'm going to fully admit to this, I never rode dirt bikes. I do not know how to ride an adventure motorcycle. I stood up on a motorcycle one time by complete accident. So, you
But the
know,
thing is, it's so easy to do that. Like, you will be surprised. Like, the way that I feel most comfortable and I need to stretch out when I get into city limits, I will literally stand up on the pegs and I will look like a complete idiot, but I will ride that whole entire through shifting and going downshifting to certain stop signs, just standing up and stretching out when I need to for that bike. It's crazy cool, but I didn't have any experience and I probably should have more, but when I took it to go up on the Dalton Highway, I was like, well, we're just gonna take this slow turtle way and hopefully I make it
Baptism by
there and
fire.
back. And I did, and it was very slow compared to some of the other people that took off the same time frame as me. They got it like there and back from Fairbanks to Prudhoe in a full day's ride, and I took it, cut it in half at Coldfoot and back down. But like
right.
some of the crazy BDR stuff is just it's insane to watch. I would rather enjoy my time with my helmet and my comm system, listening to music, cruising the highways. Like I love just like that style of riding for multiple hours upon end. So
Right.
yeah.
Sure.
I was well, and here's the thing too, and Tony was telling me about this about adventure riding is that the bikes, the one thing about adventure riding is the reason why you stand up is that you let the bike do what it's going to do, because the tires are gonna break loose. They're gonna do all these things, and you need to be nimble enough to keep your body centered on the motorcycle. But the motorcycle is gonna go all places where if you were on your street bike, you'd be like, I'm fucked. I'm going down. This is not the way it's supposed to happen, and that's not the way it goes. And so, in my deep dive, I stumbled upon a video of a college professor, and maybe you all have seen this, but he takes a wheel and he spins it, and it's sideways, and he connects it to a string on one side of the wheel, and he lets go of it, and the wheel turns straight up in the air and is rotating like this. So the wheel's straight up in the air, but he started spinning it and it was the other way. It was like horizontal. So physics says that they want to stay straight up in the air, right? And so that's the idea, is that as long as your momentum is going in one direction, the bike wants to be upright. It does not want to be tipped over.
And you
So-
lose that and you're out.
Right. But you also don't, like Tony said, he goes, the first time you go down a gravel road, he goes, you're probably going to be going 10 miles an hour. And he goes, and you'll slowly work yourself up. He goes, and then he goes, my suggestion is you bring an extra pair of pants, because as soon as your back tire breaks loose and it slides out from underneath you, you're going to shit yourself. Then he said you need to promptly pull over and change your pants and get back on your bike and do it again.
And Ryan's
Because now
reply
you know-
was, "I already wear Depends, so it's no big deal.
Right.
I always got a couple with me, so it's
Right.
fine."
So now you know what it feels like, and you've changed your pants already. So now you're good to go. So
The most terrifying part for me is riding with ADV tires and going through some of those bridges in Alaska, those like gridded style, like on the Mackinac Bridge,
yeah.
in rain too. So for
Oh,
me, I'm just like,
God.
oh, it was the most terrifying part. It was like, if I go down, this is gonna hurt. Like, at least with the dirt, it will kind of
Yeah.
cushion a little bit. Hopefully, it's not rock, but like that was the most terrifying.
I didn't
It
like
wasn't-
going across the Mackinac Bridge on my street glide, let
Oh.
alone some.
Were you on
Yeah.
the graded part too?
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh man, just like it wasn't that bad, right? But mentally, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
mentally you
man.
have to be strong for that sake. Just
Yeah,
like you
that
keep
was
going, it makes sense. But
Yeah, my butt puckered pretty bad on that, but
You
I
see,
made it. I made it.
I've always wanted to do that, but now I'm afraid of heights. The guy who's 6'3" is
down,
afraid
it'll
of
be
heights. So, thank you for telling me that I should not cross the Mackinac Bridge now.
It
you
was
have
beautiful.
to. You have to
Beautiful.
at least once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
did
I'm-
that. I took off on a Friday mid morning out of St. Louis, and I was like, I'm going to ride around Lake Michigan this weekend.
Perfect.
So I did that loop and was back in St. Louis for an 11 o'clock, my daughter's 11 o'clock soccer game Sunday morning. Here
That's
we go.
awesome.
That was beautiful. That was the first time I'd been up in the UP. Oh man,
You go
I mean,
all the way up? Because, like, so when I did my first Saddle Sore 1000, I did it on my Sporty around Lake Michigan, but I had to go way up to Munsing, I think is how you pronounce
No,
it.
so I went all the way up Mackinac and to the Canadian border, stopped
Oh, that way. Okay.
before going across the Canadian border over to Canada, had lunch, and then just came all the way back down. So
Got
I had
Well,
a free weekend, so I was like, all right, I got an idea. Here we go. So it was It was beautiful up there. It was August, and I was cold, on Saturday morning because
Yep.
UP was chilly. I was like, I gotta get back up here. This is too nice.
It's
It reminds me of like Oregon and Washington, but
Yes, but
that's a lake,
Mid-
not an ocean. And the trees are a little bit shorter, but it had that feel. To me, it had that feel, and it was beautiful up there. Loved it.
that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
You should go across that bridge.
Well, I mean, okay, maybe I will.
Just suck it up, Buttercup.
I just love the idea of having a bike that is very utilitarian, right? I think that is such a just something that I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm really excited, and I get to do and I still love, for me, right now I'm looking at it like an 80-20 bike, right? 80% of the time I'm going to be on the road. The other 20% I'm probably going to be like pulling up to a campsite. Right? I mean, that's the 20% I'm talking about right now, but no. And I mean, just like I was looking at it and I've just been thinking about like the way the panniers are set up, you can strap all your camping shit like right on the top of the boxes. It's like a bike that you're not afraid to like scratch kind of, right? And so like, that's the idea or what, like in my brain, how I'm looking at. I am going to get some highway pegs though, because I am 6'3" and my giraffe legs need some place to go besides right underneath me. So
Yep.
I'll have to
extenders.
find a way to stretch out a little bit from that perspective. So
I got an idea. The first time you go off road in that thing, Ryan, we need the camera on your helmet and a microphone because I want to hear you just freaking out.
Oh, for sure.
Screaming at a high pitch that I didn't know you could reach. Like
I'm already. That's
amazing.
already like in my plans. Like the first time I go on a gravel road, I want the
20 million
internal
on that
dialogue.
one video. You're gonna get like 50 million on this one.
Yeah, I need my internal dialogue coming out of my mouth when I'm on there because you know what it's going to be? It's going to be a oh no, and then it's just going to be a series of long beeps.
Okay.
I don't even know you'll get them to know. It'll just be beep.
Yeah.
I mean,
For sure.
my gosh.
Well, Whit, I think that we owe it to the listeners and we owe it to you. Tell everybody who is new to, who you are, because I don't want to assume that all of our audience knows who you are. Tell everybody some of the just crazy endurance rides you've done. I mean, you talked about your Prudhoe Bay one where you went from Key West to Prudhoe Bay.
Hold on. How did you get to that point? That's what I want to know. What's the origin story of how did you? What? Oh, I really like riding. 1,000,000 miles in 3 hours. So how did you get to that? And then I'd love to hear what are some of the highlight rides that you did?
I only consider riding really truly over the last 6 years because we have 2 kids. I have I say young, but they're not young anymore. I picture them still being 2, but they're early middle school and elementary school now. But from that time frame, I didn't really get a chance to ride, being pregnant and all of that stuff. So once my daughter was born, I was like, you know what? Full throttle. We're going to take advantage of this while I can and use up some of my vacation time frames. So 2021 hit. My husband was deployed overseas in Papua New Guinea and Hawaii. And so thankfully my family was like, yeah, we'll take the kids. And I was like, all right, I got 2 days to myself. What do I want to do? And I couldn't think of anything else. I was like, I had my sporty and I was like, you know what? Screw it. We're going to try to do this. And I wanted to see if I could do the 1,000-mile ride. And so I did that loop around Lake Michigan and I loved it. I loved the planning part. I loved the riding part. Yes, it wasn't but that first ride, I wasn't as time conscious of things. And I brought it out until the 23-hour mark and got it off, got it done and got the certificate, but I loved it. And I was like, all right, what can I do next? So in 2020, middle of 2020, 2021, my husband had a fat boy and I was like, all right, I need to get on bigger bikes. I need to be able to get more comfortable on larger ones. So I did a lot of Eagle Rider renting through in different parts of the country. So I went out to Vegas and I did Zion and Bryce Canyon, and I went out to Tennessee and did the Tail of the Dragon, Cherahalla Skyway, things like that I had a chance to do out in Idaho. I had a friend that had a bike, and so I rode out there. So with all these bikes and all of these new places, I was like, okay, I really love doing this. What can I do that will encompass me riding, because my goal was to ride and to visit all of the 50 states. And so in 2021, I decided, you know what, let's do this. I'm going to take my sporty and try to do all 48 states in 8 days, because through the Iron Butt Association, they have, if you haven't been on the website, there's so many crazy rides that you can just do. Fun things that if you want to ride and have eggs in a different like state for breakfast and go. I have a friend that did 250 ice cream insanity rides. So like he's ridden and got an ice cream in this state and went down here and got ice cream at this place and did another one in a different state. He did that 250 times. Like people just love to do this for the sake of trying different locations, different places they haven't seen. And so the 48 and 10 was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I really considered the 48 and 10 plus, which is Alaska, but because it was that time frame, Alaska and Canada had the borders closed, I couldn't do that. And we went out to visit my husband when he was stationed in Hawaii, and I got to ride there. So I was like, I've already ridden in Hawaii. Like I've checked that off the list. I can at least get the 48 done. And during this time frame, I connected with the Harley Davidson corporate individuals and decided to like shoot my shot almost. Like I gave them a proposal, said, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. These are the connections that I've made through publications that I want to share this story. And I want to take your brand new Pan America and do this ride. Cause I was like, I could do it on my sporty. Yes, but is it conducive to do it? Maybe. That's a possibility. It's a lot more stops. And so I was like, all right, I've never ridden the bike before, but we're gonna give this a go. And sent it over to them, and they said, yes, let's do this. And I was like, oh shit.
Now I got to do it.
And I really had to do the whole thing through. And so I did that ride. It was I want to say a lot easier, but like it really worked out quite well. And I rode all 48 states in 8 days on that Pan Am and then brought it back to corporate. So like I realized just how much I loved being on the bike. I love the logistics and the planning portions of it and just seeing different parts of the country. And so that kind of led me into what I love to do now. And so I was like, all right, what's next? What's the next thing that I can do? And after I did the 48 and 10, I went a little bit more local to the Midwest area. And if you're not familiar with the brand, maybe it's just because you haven't visited this area yet, but I have rode to every single Quick Trip location throughout the Midwest. So Quick Trip is a gas station, the most epic one here in the Midwest area. That's in Wisconsin, Minnesota. There's technically one in Illinois, I believe, still operating, but Iowa, Michigan. There's two in Nebraska or North Dakota. I mean, two in North Dakota, South Dakota now too. But I rode to all of them, which I think is like 930, no, 910 maybe. I forget what the total is because I've tried to visit them all. But I rode to 800 store locations in 11 days. And then I finished up the rest of them because they keep building more. So I keep having to visit more. But I rode to all of them within like a 18 day mark throughout every single Quick Trip location gas station. So yeah, wild. Just coming up with these crazy ideas that I can add mileage to the bike because that makes me happy when I see that odometer keep ticking up.
In a fun way, right? Like a cool challenge, something different, right? Besides just doing a bunch of iron butts and just
calling it good that way. Yeah.
Right.
It's more creative in that sense. So that's me in a nutshell within the last 5 years. Like I've depleted all of my vacation time frame. Like my husband and I plan out, okay, we're going to do this together. We're going to do this. And then I was like, all right, I got these many days left. This is what I'm going to do for that time frame. And it's just something I enjoy doing. And I have limited amount of time with him being military and the kids being older and having their schedules kind of conflicting with everything we've got going on, that I take advantage of it while I can. And granted, I don't ride as much as, some people get the chance to, but I make it worth my time when I'm actually out on the bike and riding.
I can totally appreciate that. Single dad, a full-time job, right? So, all right, I don't have my daughter for this weekend, or she's on vacation with her mom. I got a week. Oh man, what can I do, right? So, it's so
spring break is coming this time frame, and I was like, oh shoot, I wish it was nice enough to do this. Yeah.
When you were talking about that, seeing the odometer click, it reminded me that I don't really care what kind of bike anybody rides, but the one thing that like hits me is when you have like that guy that comes up and he's like, "Oh, you have a Harley?" Like, "Yeah, I've got a 2001 anniversary edition with 14 original miles." I'm like, "Dude, I would have 180,000 miles on that bike right now. Like, they are made to be ridden, not sit in your garage to look at."
No.
Like that's the only person that, like, for me, that just gets underneath my skin is like when they tell me they have a motorcycle that has really low miles. I'm like, that's not a badge of honor. Just so you know, it's not one.
Yeah. That's not.
Just are certain bikes. Then that makes sense, but like,
Sure.
in that sense, you've got more
That's
than
not a '69 Camaro, right? Like that. Come on.
Exactly.
You got an '03 Dyna. Cool, man. Put some miles on it.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
like
Exactly.
whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that anniversary edition Dyna, that ain't worth shit either. Put some miles on it. If it has the word Dyna in it, ain't worth shit. So just put miles on it.
right. That's awesome.
That's funny.
Same. I have like my sporty still too, and like granted, I favor my Pan Am more than I favor my sporty in the garage, but like I need to get more mileage on that bike too, so I'm gonna try to do another like iron butt saddle sword just to get some more mileage on a different bike, and it won't have cruise control, it won't have all of the like fun like
Small tank.
grips,
Yeah, I mean,
all of
a
that stuff,
a
but
completely different challenge, right?
exactly, and I still get a chance to ride it. I love that bike too, so no matter what, you got to put miles on the bike for sure.
Absolutely. So I'm curious. So with endurance riding and something Ryan and I both share, we enjoy long rides, like
Awesome.
multiple day,
Yes.
laying down a lot of miles. But talk to me about the endurance part, like preparing for that mentally and physically. Like, I mean, how do you get there? Like, what would be, how do you train for it mentally, physically, and then what, give us 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many tips on like things to think about on if you're doing your first iron butt, or maybe you want to, crush, 20 states in 10 days, or whatever that magic number is. What are some tips you give to folks?
I think the more time you can have on the bike, the better. Like, even if it's just a 20-minute ride, like, it's inconvenient to go out to the grocery store to ride in the rain because you got to pick something up. It's a good challenge to get on the bike. You're like, all right, I got the gear that I should be riding in. I got this stuff. Like, I'm going to put it to the test to see if like everything works and fits well with how the bike is set up. Yes, it's inconvenient, but you might go through, like, the second day on my 48 and 10 was just 16 hours straight of downpour rain. Like, I seeped through my Gore-Tex suit, like, to the point where I had a really wet ass at the end of the night. Like, this sucks. But like, just to get to know what you got on the bike and what your gear setup is, and then just the seat time on it. So whatever you can get on the bike and get up and get going, I think the best. But there's a point where you're like, I still don't feel comfortable riding that set of mileage. I would say give yourself a little bit more credit than what you think you're capable of, because you can always push past that just a little bit more. And if it doesn't work out, well, then it doesn't work out. It's not life or death kind of situation to get to that time frame or to get to that location. Like, you set out to do what you did, and maybe it did work out and maybe it didn't, but then you learned your lessons through what you could do better the next time. And I think mentally that's just kind of that struggle that you have to get through. But if you can get that seat time on the bike, it helps you be more confident when you're on that bike, for sure. And I think physically the same thing. Like, if you can get highway mileage, and if you can get a little bit more of like maybe even like town to town, like back road style riding, just to get a feel for how you feel at certain time of the day or certain time of pretty much the day. Because like, I know when I get to 1:00, regardless of what time frame of the country I'm in, like, my body just tends to kind of, all right, I need off the bike. Like, I need to shut down and recuperate some of this and get off the bike. So like, I will legit take off my helmet then, because I've had it on for how many hours, since maybe like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and take off the helmet, get some good protein, food in me, drink, hydrate wise. And then if I can take like a 10-minute cat nap at a rest stop where I can just prop up my jacket, maybe even have not my helmet still on, but like just kind of coverage for a 10-second nap. I've done some iron butt motels where it's what they call it, where you can literally sleep on the tank bag of your bike and you're still on it. You're taking a cat nap that way. But like I know that I hit that mark around that like 12:30, 1 o'clock. If I push it to 2, it's like, shoot, I really need to get off of it for 10 to 15 minutes and then jump back on. But you're going to know these things the more you ride. When you don't have to
Sure.
go out and do 1,000 miles right away, but like if it is like a full day's ride, you'll get to have a good understanding of what you're capable of. And then I think physically, if you can just get into the gym. So when I left for my 2024 one, I was doing CrossFit and weight training and things like that. So like there was at least twice that my bike went down and there was absolutely nobody there to help me pick up the bike. One was in a gas station parking lot. It was a little slick and too wet and the bike just kind of went the same way I did and went down and everybody just looked at me and I was like, well, shit, here we go. All right, we're going to just get this up myself. And after I took off like the top pannier, things like that, I got the bike up and then I had like a misstep when I took a side little, what is the word I want to say? Just, I had to stop for a little second off on the Dalton Highway. And so there's nobody there except for the people that work in the oil or you're on the bikes and they're few and far in between. And so I, unfortunately, both times I dropped the bike, I wasn't going any fast, like any speed at all, but ended up dropping it. And I was like, well, here we go. Nobody's around. I can't just call somebody to come because I am 200 miles away from reception of anybody to even get a hold of. And I'm not going to use up my Garmin in Rage. So physically just being able to know that you can pick up your bike and do that, I think helps tremendously too.
Sure.
So physically able to do so. So yeah, it's not a light bike to do that, but to say that I've done it and I can do it without hesitation is good. So yeah.
I always tell people too, and Luke and I have talked about this for anybody who's never gone out and like gone on a long ride or done any type of, big miles, your bike feels a lot different after 700 miles than it does after 5 miles, right?
Yes.
Especially when you've loaded it down for a big trip. I have found for me, every single time I've almost like dropped my bike at a gas station parking lot is the last gas stop of the day when you're like filling up before you go to the hotel at night and you've ridden 600, 700 miles and you put your feet down at that last gas stop. I don't know how many times I've slipped on that kitty litter that they put down in the parking lot and almost dropped my bike. But then I realized how exhausted I was by, getting to the end of the day. And I think having a very full awareness of who you are and how you ride and what your, like I'll talk to people that they can't ride their bike for 10 minutes without having music on. Or
it's me.
Okay,
Don't,
right.
You don't listen to music, right? Like I feel
don't
like
listen to
I
anything.
cannot.
No.
Like I need to have a fully charged comm system in my head, or else I will go crazy after 30 minutes with just listening to wind noise. I have to have it on.
Well, and so for me, it's I use it truly as a form of meditation. So I'm using it to process all of the things in my brain that I haven't haven't processed up until that point. And then I will use music, but I typically only use music when I'm past the point of no return. When I know I'm exhausted, when I'm pushing through. I'm trying to think. Oh, the last time is we were coming home from camping in southern Minnesota, and our whole camping trip was a disaster. Luke didn't even bother showing up. It was such a disaster.
I knew it was going to happen.
No, it was so hot, and the whole thing was a disaster. But we came home. We got on the other side of Minneapolis, and I shit you not, Whitney. We got on the other side of Minneapolis. It was 12:30 at night. It was 97 degrees.
Oh.
I've never ridden at night when it's been that hot, and we were sweating at like 12:30 at night, and we still had to get home, right? And And I listened to music at that point because I needed to, so I just put on the greatest mix of 80s jams I could find.
You
and,
listen to yacht rock. Don't
yeah,
lie.
I just
You
put on
listen
some
to
yacht rock and no, it was so yeah. I think that you were talking about it, and to me, it reminded me of like being self-aware, knowing what your limits are, and I think that's kind of the point you're trying to make by getting out every time and riding those 20 minutes, whatever. I always tell people too. I remember when you were warming up for your 48 and 10, you did you did an iron butt on your Pan America before you did your 48 and 10, so you could learn the bike.
Absolutely.
And,
well, I had to get, I think it was a day to 5. I'd at least get to the 1,000 mark because they had to do the
break-in.
Yeah, the break-in period of it. So it was like, and I think it must have been, I think it was the 5,000 mark too. Like I had to get to that part before I even got on the 48 and 10. So I was like, yeah, I'll absolutely put the mileage on if you're telling me to do so. So,
Sure.
Right. And you went to Babes Ride Out or something, didn't you? To do
I did.
the iron butt? Yeah.
Catskills.
Yeah. I remember, like I said, I don't know why I remember these weird things, right? But
Stalker, whatever. He's a stalker.
More motivation to get you and do like I don't push people to do the 1,000-mile rides if they don't want to do that. Like that's totally fine. But like I love to talk and do logistic plannings. Like if somebody has questions on things and wants to get my feedback on it, I was like, yeah, I'll sit there happily with you and Google Map certain points and certain routes. Get into the Type 8 stuff that I love to do. But if you just enjoy casually going out for a weekend and it doesn't really matter what mileage it's set at, it's just as long as you meet the goal that you set out to do and you're enjoying it. So like for me, I'm like, yeah, I love putting that 1,000 miles in because I can see all the things. When my husband and I go on vacation, we found out that cruising was the best fit for both of us because he could sit and relax, but then I can go to all of these locations in that set time frame and still be able to see all of the things. So for me mentally, I'm trying to fit in as much as I possibly can and enjoy. Like I just pinpoint certain parts, or it was like, yep, I need to get back here. I need to take the kids back here. I need to come back and visit this point in time and really enjoy it, because people may say that I didn't enjoy the rides at all, but that's not true at all in my sense. Like I see that I still have a good life to live, and I'm hoping that I live that life and I have my kids with me for maybe those time frames that I'd get to go back and experience it. And if I don't, well, then I've at least said that I've visited and I've seen a small blimp, whether it's from the highway of an interstate in Oregon, but I'm like, I need to come back here because even just the highway was incredible. And I want to get into some of these other locations that are out there too. So,
yeah, I find that people say, oh, you know, like I did, I don't know how many states in a short period of time, quite a few more miles than for, at least for me, like, 3,000 miles in 6 days or something like that. And like, well, could you even enjoy it? I'm like, yeah. I absolutely enjoyed it. Would have been cool to stop at every little place that I wanted to. Yeah, but I had this much time. And so I fit this much into that little time. It's just how it works, And
people just want to do that little bit, and that's all they want to do. And
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, dude, what's relative to me is different to you. And it's completely different. Your life's different than mine. So, I mean, that's just how it works sometimes.
I think people that don't ride motorcycles also don't realize that when you're on a motorcycle and you're riding the same road that you've driven in your car 100 times, it's not the same road on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You're immersed in everything. Like I told somebody one time, they were like, I said, if you really want to know what it's like to ride your motorcycle like long distance through multiple states, I said, I can tell you this: every state smells different. And they were like, what? And I go, I'm here to tell you, like, every state smells different. It all has, you ride in areas that are more urban and you're getting like the more urban feelings. Yep. When you've hit the Minnesota lake country and you can smell like the pine trees in the woods,
you cross over the Mississippi into East St. Louis in August and it smells like death. And so you don't get to experience that in a car. It's really unfortunate.
Right. You get to Chicago and it smells like weed. I mean, it's, know,
Dude,
you
that's
just
everywhere.
you have to know that every place has its own smell. So
For better or worse.
Yeah.
for better, for worse, exactly.
But it makes it
exactly.
memorable nonetheless. So
Yeah,
Right.
it's just, but it's a different experience and an amazingly different experience. So
Right.
much fun.
So, Whit, I would bet that a lot of people also don't know that you're a photographer.
yes.
And I'm wondering when the Motorcycling by Whit book is going to come out. That's what I want to know. Because I'm thinking about all these journeys you've gone on, and that you're a photographer. Why haven't we seen a book of all the places that you've been and all of the, because you have that. What was that photo? It was you were on the salt flats with that white helmet that you had painted or whatever, and that photo was so iconic, right? And I'm like, why hasn't Whit put out a book yet?
Because it's all sitting in my hard drive waiting for me to edit, but I never get a chance to do it. Like I have all the footage for my Key West to Prudhoe Bay, and have I had a chance to sit down and legit edit it and go through it? It's been almost 2 years now, and I was like, I need to do this. Like it's just eventually I will get there. I might be 90 because I won't be able to ride as much as what I can do now, but eventually it'll come out and I'll have a whole shit ton of photos to do it. I just bringing my camera on the bike is for certain trips. I'll bring it, but there are certain ones where I'm pretty limited on space because I'm packing up all of this extra like tent and things like that that's just in case. And I hate bringing it with me because granted I can pack it and it'd be nice, but just the vibrations and constant with it kind of terrifies me with my lenses
Yep.
and things like that too.
I
So
hear ya.
I don't bring the fun, really nice professional stuff with me, but I'll take what I can get. And most of it's been just on iPhone and all that.
Well, I'm here to tell you though. Like here's where I'm at with it. If you go back like 35 years, 40 years, right?
Yep.
These crazy cameras that we have on our iPhones didn't even exist.
Exactly.
Right? And so people were using disposable cameras and whatever, and there's a very like live in the moment kind of feeling of those pictures that are not perfect.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think that sometimes we get stuck in our own heads about all the photos being perfect, and I think the photos that aren't perfect are the ones that are the very best.
Yeah.
And it's so funny too because Luke and I had all these great intentions of all of these fucking pictures we were going to take and all of this social media we were going to do, and we went to Mama Tried and we have one picture of us together. Picture of us together, and the only reason is we were sitting down, we were talking, and I was like, "Oh, I suppose we should get a picture of us so we can prove to everybody that we
Bullshit. I was my idea,
Oh,
not
yeah, see,
yours.
I knew it was
You were
somebody's
too
idea.
busy talking about something. I have no idea what. I was like,
Hey, we need
hey,
to
shut up. We need to take a picture. Kristen, can we take a picture of
Right,
us?
right.
I know it's hard to not live in the moment, and that's the part where like I literally took my GoPro off my helmet for some of the rides just because I was like, it takes a toll on you too when you have that on your helmet because I'm riding for 16 to 18 hours a day from like sun up all the way down to past sunset. So like that added weight is just, I get moto vloggers like you want to capture it, but it's going to take a toll as you do day after day after day on your neck having that. So there's a certain point where I regretted like, yeah, I wish I had it on my helmet, or I wish I could just quick capture at least something there. But just living in the moment too, kind of, it's still, I don't know. I'm very visual. So like when I see a picture, I instantly remember a certain memory and certain things like this. So like I will deliberately, if I don't have my GoPro, I'm going to at least take a photo if I can get it on my camera or my phone for that matter. But yeah, it's hard to just take a step back and take a look at like, okay, maybe I do need to capture this moment too. So there's things there, but yeah, it'll be a while until I see it.
I haven't had a motovlogging setup on a helmet in a while. I think my last two helmets because when I went to Sturgis 2 years ago, I actually mounted a GoPro on my crash bar.
Nice.
And I did like Van Acker Canyon and a few things. So I got like a very like POV roadside view of it, which I thought was really cool because then, someday I'll be able to go back and look at it and have a real like, this is what it was like when I was riding my bike on that road on that moment. So I think there's value in that, and I think that one of the things that I want to do, we talked about it, or I talked about it, trying it, and I was telling my friends about it last year, and I'm really going to try to focus on it again this year, is being not only intentional about living in the moment, but about documenting the moments that I'm living in. Just try to be a little bit more intentional, and rather than waiting for the best picture to show up in front of me, is that you just take pictures and the best picture will appear in the pictures that you've taken. And I think that's the lesson I've learned through that. Some of the best pictures I've taken have been completely unintentional and not set up or not contrived. And then I go back and look at them and I was like, like I took a picture a couple of years ago, and it was when there was a group of us riding, and it was at a Quick Trip.
Perfect.
And there was a parking sign outside of the Quick Trip, and I took the picture because my buddies were both standing there leaning against the wall, and it just so happens to be their names were Jay and Bob, and the picture I took just looked right like out of the movie of Jay and Silent Bob. Because it has like that no parking sign in between them, just like when they're standing outside of that like Quickie Mart or whatever they are. And I took this picture and I was like, you guys, I'm like, this is the Jay and Silent Bob picture. I'm like, it's right here. And so, and it was completely unintentional, but sometimes I think that those things tend to capture my, just like that, like living the moment and being in the moment, and I thought a lot about that, especially the last few days. I posted that picture with Dave, and that was a completely. Dave was like, hey Ryan, get on that. You got to get on that wild ass seat thing, because Craig has like this saddle that he puts out, and he has a cushion on there. I didn't know he had set the whole thing up. So like he was telling me to get on it because he was going to take a picture of me, and I got on it, and then he got on that thing with me, and somebody took that picture. That's why I have that look on my face, because I was like, Dave, get the fuck off me. I was like, and he was just like hugging me, and it made for a great picture, and is such a great memory because it just encapsulates everything that we all know about Dave, right? And so that's how I want to try to be in this riding season coming up, is just way more intentional about, trying to capture the moments that I'm living in, as opposed to just creating them. You know what I mean?
If only we could go back to, what was it, like 2014 Instagram, like just throw shit on the gram, and just for no apparent reason, like nothing's staged, nothing's set up, nothing's professionally done. Like it relates so much. I relate so much more to that after you saying that. Like, it's not all for show. Like, it's one of it for me. The reason why I'm doing this moto vlog and kind of capturing these stuff is like, yes, I want to relive this. Like, hopefully I'm able to ride until well into the 90s. Like, that is my game plan. Like, I will ride until I cannot ride anymore. And my husband's like, well, what when you can't? I was like, well, then I can get on a trike, and I can do this, and I can do that. Like, there are certain things that I can do physically if I'm not able to do that. But just to capture those moments, relive them for myself, but then also for my kids. Like, I'm always the one that's taking the photographs. Like, I am the ones getting those captured of them, but there's not much of myself. So like, this is the diary, so to speak, or like just memory book for them to see. Like, this is what mom did when I was little, or when they get to that point. Like, my son is now at the age where he's able to reach the pegs and able to get on the bike. And so I was like, child, you don't know what you're in for this summer, but like him and I are going out, we're going camping somewhere close by just to kind of get him into it. But like, I got to get him the gear because he's growing like a weed now. So half the stuff doesn't fit his head and his hands anymore and all that stuff. But like, we're going to go make those memories and kind of keep that just like memories of each of that, because it's the best way to do it. But yeah, just to be a little bit more intentional. I like that thought of, it's just not all for profit, so to speak.
Right. Well, I think that the curation of because I was thinking about that even though because Luke and I have thought about that even at how we're doing the podcast, right? Everything that we're trying to curate with the podcast is with intent. It's all on purpose, right? So if anybody asks us about it, they're if they're going to say, oh well, why did you have Whit on as a guest? Listen to the podcast, right? You'll understand because we're bringing a different aspect of motorcycling or whatever to it, and so
Exactly.
I think that just that being more intentional about those things and what we curate and how we put it out there, whatever. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have less kind of contrived content, more, or staged, let's say, less staged content. And that doesn't mean sometimes when you take, when you pull over on the side of the road and you take a picture of your bike up against the canyon you just drove past, that doesn't necessarily have to say that that's contrived. That's intent of, hey, look at this place, this thing it's really cool. It made my bike look cool.
Spontaneous doesn't have to be intentional.
Yeah.
It's not intentional at the end of the day. If you're riding, you're like, oh, I'm going to bust a U-turn. I want a picture right there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But that's what we've been talking about this whole podcast, though, is living with intention, right? Your suggestion on riding to the grocery store when it's raining, even if it's a 20-minute ride, that's being intentional and preparing, right? And Ryan's talking about being more intentional and documenting things. I'm being intentional just being an asshole or something. I don't know. But
that doesn't count.
yeah, it just comes natural. But that's how you live authentically, and that's how you improve and on your life too, is being intentional with it, right? And sometimes it doesn't always work out, and you got to give yourself a little grace, just like Ryan and I took one picture.
Well, one
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Woo!
but did we regret it? No. We had such a great time. So
exactly, the experiences and the stories that we've already been able to relive and tell about the time that we had down there. I mean, I've told this story about the 90s 2K bar in downtown Milwaukee that we went to like 6 times already, and every time the story gets better and better.
I was trying to steal one of those old Blockbuster VHS tapes off the wall, but there was not enough people in there for me to
be able to
hide
do
behind someone. Like, it
right.
was like the 6 of us. There was 6 of us and like 6 people that worked there. I mean, the numbers were not in my favor.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
Next time.
Next time.
Right.
That's right.
It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think it's that part of it is good. And I liked when you were talking about how you're riding, you're using it for kind of the same way that I even started my YouTube channel as a means to document it, so your kids or your grandkids or whatever can go back and look at it someday. So when Luke was talking about your origin story, so you're saying that you didn't know that you liked endurance riding until you actually did one, and then you're like, oh, like this is my jam.
I do this. Yeah. That was in 2019, 2020. I think it's 2020 timeframe is when I started.
Okay.
Yeah. So less than
Right.
6 years ago. And I was like full pedal to the metal. We're gonna do this. I love doing this more. So.
And so do you use your bike to commute at all back and forth to work?
Yep.
Okay.
When it's nice enough and I have the time to do it. Like if I have to cart the kids to drop off or something like that, it was always the hardest. But now that they're old enough to hop on a bus and be able to like manage that, it makes it a whole lot easier for me to do it. But if I am intentional with my timing of like, I've got everything laid out, I've got all my gear and ready to go, I can just hop on the bike within a second. Cause it's not easy to just like, you can quick get in the car, throw the stuff in and go. Like you don't have to think about it. At least with the bike, like I am going to be geared up, like helmet, jacket, gloves, the whole 9 yards. If it's raining too, that's where I'm like, shoot, I need my one-piece suit and things like that. But yeah, I'll do the commute to and from work, but I work remote most of the time. So like I can get out maybe once or twice a week to highway riding, but it still counts. I can get in at least a good 200 miles in on the day. So yeah,
that's good.
So talking about work.
Yeah.
So how long? Tell us about working with Fuel Moto and how long you've been there and what you're doing for them.
A little less than, is it 2 years now? A little less than 2 years. It was actually a mutual friend of ours because the motorcycle community, even though it seems so vast, everybody seems to know everybody. Like, if you showed up to the Mama Tried, I'm sure you'd bound and determined to find somebody you knew or somebody that's close by that's connected to you somehow. So I got connected with him because I was looking for work at that point in time, and they're like, yeah, we're looking for someone to help us out for marketing and back end of website things, and a little bit more from like helping on, because they're more of an e-commerce site. They're a motorcycle performance website. So I wasn't as familiar with that side of motorcycling before I started, but now that I have been, I was like, oh shoot, there is so much more to these bikes than what I even understand and what I have with my bike. So the Road Glide that we have in the shop or in the garage this year might be, I was like, Chris, how far away are you on your warranty? Do we need, can we do some of this stuff? Just to understand it a whole lot more. There's so much that the crew there knows with, like, it doesn't even have to be an M8 bike or a twin cam bike. Like, they know so much knowledge on just bikes in general and the motor and things like that. So I'm really lucky to be able to call that work now, just because, like, I worked at a dealership a handful of years ago, but I was doing marketing and events, and it was a lot. It was a lot of work. I give credit to the people that do that day in and day out, because it's long nights, long weekends away. But with this side of motorcycling, I am just, there's so much knowledge base that I'm really ready to dive into a little bit more and understand, because logistically that like type A of me, I was like, okay, I need to understand how a dyno chart works and like what PM is best for this motor. Like, there's so much that I want to be knowledgeable, because you're not gonna, I guess, maybe think that I would be like, that's the game plan that I have for working at Fuel, is to get to that point. But yeah, I love it. They're awesome. Fantastic crew. And if you have a chance to head up to Appleton, they're located here in Wisconsin. In Appleton, there's individuals that ride all throughout the country to get their bike dynoed and set up the way that they want it to be. And it's really cool that I think he's done it for about 20 years now. Just started out randomly at a Honda dealership and saw that the e-commerce side had so much more to it. And then once he dug into, he started in metric bikes, but once he got into Harley realm, he was like, there's a lot more opportunity to get into. So yeah, I love it. But
yeah, I'll say, Fuel Moto, like I used you all's research through your cam shootout a couple years ago when I added a cam and throttle body and all that fun stuff to my Street Glide, and so I utilized that as part of my research and what direction I wanted to go. And I recommend that to every person that says, well, hey man, I got this bike or this motor, what cam? I was like, fuck, I don't know. Check Fuel Moto. I don't know, dude. I'm a banker.
Answer.
What the hell do I know?
Within a heartbeat, they'll be like, well, what's your intention? What do you want out of the bike? What RPMs do you actually adjust at? Like, they get into the nitty gritty and be like, all right, we're not going to give you like, this is the best, this for this person, and it's going to be a wash for everybody else. Like, it's specific to every single buddy that either emails them or calls them or walks into the shop. Like, they have a direction that they can provide to you, and it's crazy to just kind of sit back and watch that all.
A wealth of knowledge for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And you guys recently started a podcast.
They did. Yeah, Jamie did. I'm more on the back end because I do a lot more from the editing side of things, but he's diving into so much more of the logistics side of the dyno tune and everything else that people have questions on that need direct answers, because you can go online and you can see so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that, but you don't know what is valuable and what's true based off of AI and who's just saying stuff out of their ass. Like, you just don't know. But he's had years of experience doing this stuff and can kind of put that out into the world. So I'm happy that he's doing this, because it's an absolute necessity from that side of it to just kind of cut through some of that noise that's needed. So
And sharing that knowledge is, I mean, that's stuff that can be evergreen forever, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's going to be a 117 M8 around forever, right? I mean, there's, you know, I mean,
Literally, well-
20 years from now, someone's still going to be rolling, maybe me with a 117, right? So, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
that information will always be there. That's pretty cool. I've listened to them. I really like it. I appreciate my ADHD mind appreciates them being not very long, right? Because I mean, it's a lot of technical talk, you know. And
Yes.
I'm not very good at paying attention for a long period of time, anyway. So, but I think there's a lot of value in that. So I'm excited to see where that goes for you guys.
Heck yeah, I love
I
that.
think anytime you can humanize a brand, that is definitely gonna pay off in the long run, because
Absolutely.
you know you're gonna get that buy-in. So somebody goes and they watch the videos of the cam shootout, and then they realize I can buy all these parts from this company that I watched all this from, and you might pick up the phone, and then the person that you were watching on the video might be talking to you on the phone.
100% will be.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you've all of a sudden you've made a customer for life, right? Because you've humanized that whole thing through that process. I mean, that's one of the things that I told Luke that happens when you do a podcast, especially the way that we do it, is that nothing that we do is contrived. We are who we are in this arena, just like we are who we are when we call each other and talk on the phone, and when we text each other, and all of these things. And so
Probably some more cuss words on the phone, but that's
And I showed up
potentially,
at all
there's
times,
more
we're
cuss words.
exactly the same, 100%. Like that is.
Right.
all right. Let me Venmo you real quick. Whit. Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome. Gary. But it is 100% true. Like when I met you guys last week, 2 weeks ago, what the event was, what comes across is exactly how it is listening to you guys on the podcast and just talking to you guys directly. So I appreciate that it's not just a show, and it's not just, there are some individuals out there that you can tell the difference when you watch their YouTube videos or whatever it is, and you show up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and they're completely different realm of something. Who knows what?
Right.
I want to be nice, but yeah, it is.
I want to put that on a T-shirt. Different realm of
Something.
I don't know how to say that nicely, but yeah, it's
Well,
true.
and-
though. I appreciate
but
it.
what you're doing though is there, you know, what we're missing, and Luke and I even talked about this before we even put out the first episode. One of the things that we agreed with, especially in social media and that kind of stuff, and what people are genuinely missing right now is that real human connection.
Yes.
And we're missing a level of authenticity. And I think that that's where we are really we're really coming to our own in this idea of what we're doing with Moto State and connecting with people, because we had a brand on. It was actually when we had Tab Performance on, and we moved away from talking about Tab and talking about the product and talking about exhaust into how they treat their employees. You know, how we talked a little bit about parenting. All of a sudden, this whole thing had been humanized, right? We just humanized the whole company, and we got off the podcast, and Luke and I were both like, that is a company that takes care of its employees. That's a person who thinks about his family when he's making decisions, and it really resonated with us. And those are the kind of connections that we're trying to get, you know, people to make when we talk about, you know, having guests on and things like that, or when we talk about something that's not motorcycle related, is we're really just trying to be authentic, and we're really trying to make that genuine connection, and hopefully it's coming across like that, and you know, we're setting aside any type of, you know, arrogance, because I do know most things about motorcycles, so I just have to set all of that aside when we get on the podcast.
Jesus
I do not.
Christ.
I will flat out say.
Jesus.
That
I'm glad I got my feet propped up. It is getting deep as shit in here, man. Good Lord.
I was trying to break the level of seriousness.
Yeah, you got real serious, dude. Man, jeez, gosh, go take a shot of whiskey.
I
My
know, I was
God, man.
Where's my wine when I need it? Oh. That's awesome.
Luke's drinking wine out of a Yeti.
Classy with a capital K.
I can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, that's almost like drinking out of the bottle when you have something that large.
It's like 72 ounces. I don't know what it is, but this thing has been through
It is Monday. You know, it's been a long day. So
Yeah.
Been a long week already.
All weekend. They have off on Friday and Monday, so I am ready.
Oh,
I'm ready
let's
for
go
work.
back to school.
Yes. Please. Well, so yeah,
That's funny.
good.
Well, did we cover it all?
We
I don't
covered
know.
a lot. We
Yes?
covered a lot.
Covered a lot.
Okay. If there's
Well,
anything.
thank you. We really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. Well, this flew by. Hour and 23 minutes.
I'm looking at it going, oh shoot, it's bedtime for the kids, but he's got it covered.
Shit,
But I
it's bedtime
appreciate.
for me, man. I don't know about y'all. I'm tired.
No, this was good. It was good to connect with you guys a little bit more. I didn't have much time at Mama Tried, and so I appreciate.
Well, you were working. Yeah. No, I appreciate you taking time to chat with us at Mama Tried as well. We know you were working hard, and we didn't want to
Yeah.
interrupt
I
that.
Tell-
from everybody, but like,
Tell everybody a little shout out to Fuel Moto. We had all of the different vendors and everything that we could purchase from, and my wife picked out a Fuel Moto shirt before we left. And
Nice.
yep, so she got a Fuel Moto shirt, and it's a suit. They're crazy soft, right? I mean, like so soft. They feel like pajamas. They're so amazingly soft.
did you get the
So-
flat out one that I designed?
With the shamrocks on it.
Yes. Yep.
I think that's the one she got. Yeah,
Yes. Okay, good. That makes me happy.
yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's the one she got. Yeah. So, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
So Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, they're all the same. It's just Whit Meza, so WHIT, and then my last name MEZA. So Mike Echo Zulu Alpha for any of you military people. Hopefully that
Boom. There it was.
last name it's ingrained into my brain. But Whit Meza on all platforms that I can be on. So mainly specifically YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. I share a lot of the long distance rides when it's actually endurance season, but then it's a lot of just family, physical.
Dude, y'all are
fitness
slinging
stuff.
some weight around in the freaking
Yeah, we
gym.
love-
Good Lord.
We love our local gym, and so yeah, that's our winter escape right now is to
Oh, yeah.
get
Yeah,
ready.
did you see, Luke, the last video that she posted with her husband? Jesus, was he lifting a car?
It was
the
actually an
heck?
F-150. He was he was shoulder pressing an F-150. I don't even know how the hell he did
I
that.
saw him do. Whatever was on there, the bar was bending, and I'm like, "Good Lord!"
The outside weights were hitting the ground before his like anything else was. I was just floored by it, and I was like, "This is nuts. This is like 4 times the amount that I can actually deadlift right now." But
Good Lord.
it's crazy fun to be
gonna
able to
piss
do
that
that
guy
together.
off.
So.
Well, there was like
Break me in
14
half.
plates on that bar, and I'm thinking I might be able to lift one of those plates. I mean, good Lord.
But that's part of his job, military wise. Like you gotta stay physically fit.
Absolutely.
You have to lift a car to be in the military now?
Apparently, no, not just for.
Good Lord.
Humvee, man.
But yeah, a lot of physical fitness stuff and kid oriented, family, mother stuff. Who knows what? All the stuff that makes me human. I love sharing with other people
Yeah,
on there too.
that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you to your husband for his service. We appreciate that. I don't want to go not give a shout out to him. We appreciate what he's doing, especially with what's going on in the world right now. So we do
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
He's the one that will say thank you, but that's all. Like he'll take it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. As
Yeah,
most
correct.
folks, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So we appreciate it, Whit. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. We fully enjoyed you telling your story to those people maybe that haven't heard it already. And again, we'll just give another shout out. Make sure you go out there and follow Whit on all the socials.
Thank you.
And make sure you drop her a message and let her know that Motor State Podcast sent you, so she knows.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you again for coming on, Whit, and we'll see y'all next time.
I'll be riding shortly with you guys. Plan.
Heck yeah. See y'all.